Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of The Thing Is. Today I'm so fortunate to have me. Isn't she so good? She's pregnant and she's come all the way out to do podcasts with me. Jerelle and Daniel. Thank you so much. I'm so appreciative to have you guys come out tonight. I appreciate it a lot.
It's a pleasure.
But I think this is a really great topic for you actually. I feel like talking about relationships is going to be right up your alley, you know.
Yeah. Definitely. It worries me.
No, don't be worried. I'll be hard on you, but don't be worried.
I'm feeling hot already.
So I think let's start off, right, by talking about blended families. Because you guys are a blended family, right?
Yes.
Because, Daniel, you have your own children and you have your own children and you have some together too, right?
Correct, yes.
So how many children do you have?
Oh, in total, I have 9. In total.
Yeah.
But I have 6, 7, 8. No, I'm talking about 8.
You have 8?
I
Yeah.
thought you was including him.
Oh, well, 9.
Yeah.
But 1 is not mine. Tian is not my biological.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the rest are all
mine, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And you have?
1, Tian, and then before I met Daniel, and then I have the 2 boys with Daniel and 1 on the way.
Wow. You guys, there was a lot of you.
We've been busy.
You have been busy. Yeah. You need to learn to go to bed. Like, you know.
No, we do. After.
I love it. So tell me, what's it like being a blended family? Like when your families found out that the 2 of you were going to get together, and obviously between you have quite a lot of children, what was that like? Were people just accepting, or did people take you seriously? Did they think this could work? Because it's a bit unusual, let's be real.
Yeah, I think people didn't really have a choice. Like, so there was no one external to say, no, you shouldn't do this. I think that conversation was between me and you. So me coming into the relationship with, 5 children at the time, that was a big thing. Coming out of a relationship before Jerelle, I always thought, well, I'm kind of like soiled now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Who's going to want me with all these children?
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop you right there.
Yeah.
Because I had that same thought.
Okay.
All these children, who's going to want me? And I'm so surprised to hear that from a man.
Well, it's real, isn't
There's
it?
a lot of stigma.
Yeah.
Right. I never thought about it from the man's perspective that a man could also feel the same thing. Who's going to want me with all these children?
Well, I've dated women who have said 5 children. Oh, no. And then 4, I don't like to call them baby mothers, but, 4 baby mothers. Like, it's like, okay, so I may be the 5th, or they want to start fresh.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And I understand it. I really understand it, because it's not easy having a blended family. It's really not. There is, there's things energies you have to deal with. That
A lot of politics.
Yeah, I bet.
There's stuff that I don't want to, that I've left behind in other relationships that, well, I can't leave them behind because they're in my children.
Right.
Traits that are in my children, energy that's in my children.
Yeah.
I have to deal with it. So, and when you find somebody that you love, and we're married now, we always wish, I wish Tian was mine. Just as you wish, my children were hers.
Yeah.
And they are, but not biologically. So it's difficult.
It complicates it. Especially when you want to make decisions as a family, as husband and wife.
Right.
There's always multiple parents to consider, and then also, which pains me, have to consult. Like I have to ask permission of someone that I'm not aligned with. We don't have the same vision. We don't have any of the same values, principles, morals, faith. Like we're just living in 2 separate worlds entirely. 2 different mentalities, and it's very hard because there's no possible way we can please everyone. Like it's just
absolutely
not
no, it's not. I mean, it's hard enough in a relationship when it's just 2 of you. Yes, so when there's more of you, I can only imagine.
It is. Like, I just wanted to touch on what Daniel was saying before about when we first met, and just to give a perspective of a woman coming into a relationship, meeting a man with 5 children. For me, although I know, like you were saying, that some women have completely rejected him because of it, for me, I just saw the kind of father that he was. even within that situation, which obviously wasn't planned.
Yeah.
It's not ideal. I saw the kind of father that he was being, and they were very young children at the time. I believe the youngest was either 2 or 3.
Wow.
And the last 3 are all girls. So just seeing how he was with his daughters, and I was just like, that's the kind of father that I want for my children.
Yeah.
And as a single woman with 1 child, I would never date men that didn't have children, just because I felt like, mentally we were in different spaces, life experience wise.
Okay.
You know, like, not like I completely lived for my child, but you know what it is when you have a child, you have to learn to make sacrifices and do what's best for them. And you have to have a certain level of maturity, which I find a lot of men without children lack. A lot of men with children lack, but a lot of men without children mature as fast as we do.
Yeah.
And being that I was a young mum, for me, I was like, okay, so it made more sense for me to date men in the same kind of situation as me, because they'd have a better...
That's really well thought through, actually, because for me, I mean, obviously I have 4 children, and I haven't considered anybody below, say, if you ask me, like, what age person would you date? I'd say, like, I wouldn't go below 38, because I feel like someone who's 38 has probably got a child. I probably didn't think of it that way, but I felt like they'll probably be closer to my life kind of space. Yeah. And you putting it like that actually rings so true, because you can date a younger guy, but if he's not in the same life space as you, you're on 2 different pages, and how's that going to work?
Yeah.
So I do get what you're saying when you said that you wanted to actually date someone who already had children, because that would make sense.
Yeah. That's what I was always looking for. However, I mean, I didn't consciously put it out there that I wanted a man with 5 extra
children by any chance?
But when I met Daniel, it was like love at second sight for me. I think it was love at first sight for him, but it was love at second sight for me. Yeah,
not first.
Yeah. Okay, explain that.
But I wasn't in the mood to talk to men at that point. I just wasn't interested, and I was just focusing on myself, and I guess trying to heal from past relationships.
Yeah,
you know. So men for me was just like, oh, I'm not interested. So when I met him, I had that energy.
Right.
But then
definitely did.
He's like, I'm gonna break through though.
He did. He broke through on our first phone conversation. We spoke throughout the night, and in that conversation, he broke me down.
Really?
And by the end of that conversation, I was like, oh my God, this is my husband.
Really?
Yeah. At the end of that conversation.
First phone call.
Really? Dang, you got some lyrics on you, huh?
You know what it was late at night, and you know, in the morning late at night, my voice gets real.
Oh, it was the boy. Okay, I got it now.
So, I played it to my advantage. Probably about 4 o'clock, I might be high.
No, I get it. So Daniel, I'm going to ask you a really difficult question now.
Okay, fire.
So you have how many baby mamas? I know everybody doesn't like that term. 4. I don't know. 4.
Yeah.
Okay, so what went wrong in all those relationships for you to finally think that this is the one, this is it? What happened?
Short answer or the long one? The short one is everything. The short answer is everything went wrong. You know, and this is not a blame game. This is, you know, I can blame myself. I wasn't in the right space. I got with the mother of my child, the first one, when I was 18.
Oh,
and,
very young.
You know, I always wanted a relationship, that long, you know, relationship. And I think we just got together too young. I didn't know myself. I mean, to be fair, I only really got to know myself when I got to Ghana, because Ghana forced me.
Do you see, like you're just talking and saying the words? How many of my videos have you watched?
All of them. We're kind of like roughly the same age as well, so I think you know, generational things. We'll get to that. Generational things, you know, curses and you know, and the way that the generation before, it affects us
Yes.
as an 80s baby.
Right, yeah.
Right. So, you know, I was born in 1980, so, you know, you
Okay.
have the same kind of. But the first one, you know, I tried to make it work. And I
Right.
was in that relationship for 14 years.
That's
7
a long
years.
time.
Yeah, 7 years too long.
Oh, you
So
tried.
after 7, you know, we were engaged, and you know, I think we had 2 children by then.
Yeah.
And you know, I tried to make it work, but we just wasn't compatible. We weren't equally.
You're too young. You're still discovering
Too
each
young.
other yourselves.
Yeah. I was also in the music industry, so you know, I was young and free and wild. Do you know what I mean? So that was that, and you know, a lot of people were like, "You need to leave," and I was like, "Well, I'm gonna stick with my children because I had made my children in this." So I was trying to lay in the bed that I had made for myself.
Yeah.
I wasn't raised with my father, so
Okay.
I wasn't trying to make history repeat itself. But at the end of the day, my children, I realized eventually after 14 years that they're gonna be better off with me out of this relationship. It was, you know, a relationship full of domestic violence on both sides. Do you know what I mean?
okay.
So.
That's honest of you to
Yeah,
admit.
so you know, it's you know, I'll be real with you. I like I
Please,
said,
yeah.
Ghana made me a man. So I only came, you know, I came here as a boy trying to, you know, find myself.
Right.
And Ghana made me a man. And then the second relationship, well, it wasn't a relationship. That was a one-night stand. You know,
Okay.
in the
Okay.
music industry, one night stand happened,
Right.
and from that one night, I had a child. And then, you know, the third relationship for me was like, I just come out of a 14-year relationship, and here was somebody that was giving me everything that I wanted, that I was
Right.
missing from that relationship. But I didn't have that love or that connection with that person. I was just settling.
Right.
As hard as that may sound, that's the truth. I was just settling and thought, you know what? I've gone for the looks. I've gone for all of those things. Let me just go for someone who's kind of
Yeah.
seems to be treating me right. And, you know, that relationship ended up in another child.
Wow.
And, you know, I'm very fertile, I guess. And, you know,
You don't strap up.
you know what? Like, let's not go into the actual details. But even if you do, sometimes
Yeah,
mistakes
sometimes,
happen.
yeah,
do you know what I mean?
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, but at the end of the day, we can't blame that.
No.
Like, at the end of the day, I'm a man.
Yeah.
And that is we were 2 adults at the time, and
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
things happen, and I made a choice, and that's what happened.
Yeah.
And then that was the third, and then Jerelle. Do you know what I mean? And you know, we got together, and when I got with Jerelle, like the story of me meeting Jerelle was, I've told it a few times, but the story is in a just briefly, is that, you know, I was done with relationships.
Yeah.
So was she. I was, you know, I was heading home on the train, playing a game on the train where, you know, in the underground in London, I'm sure everybody plays this, where you want to stand where the door opens.
Oh, yeah.
Just a simple game, and I'm trying to think, where should I go? And I was really depressed as well, so I was just playing a silly game with myself. And then probably one of the first time the Most High spoke to me clearly and said, "Stop! There's something on the train for you." And I was like, "Whoa! What was that?" And the train stopped, doors opened. There she was, like dressed in all black. It was Halloween.
Yeah.
She was dressed in all black. She was dressed as a goth.
Oh,
So I
okay.
went in there and I went in. I went,
It's cringing.
sat down in front of her, but my jaw was at the ground. Like I was like, because I had heard something tell me that something was on the train for me.
Yeah.
I'm looking for money. £20, £50.
I need the money.
Here's this, you know, this queen, like just glowing.
Yeah.
You know, with a very stern face, I must say. And then she was like, "Oh, what are you looking at?" And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm so
Did you say
sorry."
that to him? What are you looking at?
He was staring with his mouth actually open.
Wide open.
Really?
Yeah, that's never happened to me before. That was
Yeah.
just like,
Wow.
this is
It was your beauty. It captivated him.
And her thighs, I must say, her thighs and her thighs and her eyes.
That's
thighs and her
nice.
eyes. And you know, and then you know we got speaking, and like she said, it was love at second sight. So I knew that. Well, from what I could see, she was. You know, I thought maybe this is a bit too much for me. Maybe
Right.
I'm shooting above my weight. But I went in there, and the first time it was just, you know, because we were coming from that energy, we were just like, "What's that cross around your neck?" And she's like, what's that cross on your face? It's like, it's not a cross, it's a North Star. Like, and we were just like poking at each other. Well, what's this? What? Do you know what I mean? Like, really trying to suss out each other.
Yeah.
And then when we had that first conversation on the phone, we were talking about the things that we want in a relationship. Then we came together for the first time and sat down in her house. She invited me to her house, and we sat around the table, and it was just like a meeting of, governments.
Wow.
Like, what do you want for your country? And this is what I want for my country. How do you want to raise your children? What do you believe? Well, this is what I believe. And it was very business type kind of, sit down, because we were serious at that point. We was like, there's no way I'm going through all of that again.
Yeah.
And so you both had the same mindset, like you didn't want to just be starting from scratch like that.
No. Yeah.
So how long were you dating? So you're married now, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
How long were you together for?
Before we got married?
Yeah.
7 years. We just got married last year.
Did you?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, we got married in a Brie.
Really?
Mountain.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, it was.
Wow. Okay. So, what was important for you, both of you, in this relationship? What meant so much to you going into this relationship? What was the one thing that you looked for?
I say for me, honesty and freedom. Like, I wanted a relationship where I knew that I could say anything and not, be judged. And I wanted I wanted my partner to feel the same way as well, so that we could grow. That's the only way you're going to grow. So the freedom part was, I guess it's almost like an extension of the honesty, because with that comes freedom.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just being able to express yourself is not something that I had growing up. So it was like healing for me to have a relationship where I was freely able to express myself, be seen, be heard, and not to be validated, but to know that, my life partner values me and respects, me and sees me. It's just, there's not many people that you can have that kind of relationship with, and that actually desire it as well.
Yeah.
To be
on the same page. Yeah. What about for you? What was the one thing that you were looking for?
Someone that was equally yoked to my beliefs, to the way I wanted to raise my children. Someone that wanted freedom. One of the reasons why we're in Ghana, like the same principles in life. Someone that felt the way I felt.
Yeah.
And after that government sit down we had, that's we were in
the meeting of nations.
That's what it was.
was.
Like, just someone that I was aligned with. That's what I wanted. That's what I needed, and that's what I thought I got. We still had work.
So you almost, it sounds like you almost speed dated and were like, what do you want? This, that, and you answered each other's questions.
Exactly what it was.
Directly.
Like. Yeah, that was it. Like for hours.
Really?
Did that. And we did it twice over 2 sessions. By the second session, he was like, okay, so we're doing this then. And that was it. We started our relationship.
Really?
Yeah.
And so there was no like romance, dating, like I'm taking you out. So he didn't have to necessarily win you over with all that stuff.
She took me out. Like, what happened was, you took me out on the 3rd day. So you took me out on the 3rd day. So I came to your house. I don't think we've parted since that day.
Really?
Yeah. From that first day, like I went to her house, and in my mind I was like, oh, she's clean. Like I looked around, and I was like, everything was white. In my mind I was like, I can live here. I can live here. So I lived with my mother at the time.
Right.
In the UK, that's how the system is kind of set up. Like men don't get. I was on a housing list for 13 years, so I was
that
like,
long?
Yeah. Wow. So I was like, I can live
You're
here.
a man.
Yeah. So I was looking for a place to live as well.
Yeah.
And just, we just gelled. So she took me out the 3rd day or the 2nd day, third morning, and she took me to the local cafe. And, you know, and she treated me, and I was like, this is not how it's meant to go normally.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't coming in this relationship with money. I wasn't. Like, I was broke.
That's honest of you.
No,
to
I was
admit.
broke, but I made it look good. So the little benefits that I got,
Right.
I used to come to her house with shopping, bags of shopping, because I know I want to eat.
Yeah,
I don't want
yeah.
to take food out of you and your child's mouth.
Right.
So I come with shopping, and she loved that. She was like, oh my, I love it. And she had more, well, she was better at managing her money than me. So she had more money than me. So we would go out, and, you know, when she took me out, she would do things like, she would give me her credit card or a debit card or a bank card and say, you pay. And for me, that spoke volumes to me, because imagine, I was in the music industry before, and I had been in some money at the time, and women around people in the music industry, they're like, what can we get? They expect. She didn't expect nothing from me. In fact, she was like, no, you're the man, take this and pay. It looks good, innit? Like, it built me up. It made me feel like, wow. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, for me, that was like, you know, she's a keeper. She's a keeper.
I can see that from your perspective.
Yeah.
But from your perspective, now I'm going to dig in a little bit here, okay?
Let's go.
Right. So, how did that feel to you? Or how were you so accepting of him coming into your life and saying, I'm broke, and moving in with you? Because I know for some women, they'll be like, if you haven't got certain things, like, you can't be with me. But you accepted him fully in his whole self. How? How was it not an issue for you?
Because, now don't get me, I had a lot of masculine energy. So I hadn't really been in a long-term relationship. We're like 10 years apart. So,
Okay.
So,
okay. Okay, we're going to talk about that too.
So I hadn't really been in a serious relationship like beyond like a year. So meeting Daniel, I was like, okay, right, I'm going to do this properly, because I don't want to do this again. So I guess I had it in mind before I even met him, and I was praying and asking the Most High to bring me my husband, that, well, how would I like it to be? Like, how would I like my marriage or my relationship to be? And I wanted my husband and my partner to be in control, to be financially competent. Like I was thinking about the trust. You know, maybe like after a few months, maybe like 6 months or so, I gave him my debit card, and he was in control of the money, because I could have stayed in control of my own finances. I'd been doing it since I was 16, and I was 25 when I met him, so I knew what I was doing. I could manage my household, but I didn't want to, that's not what I wanted going forward. I want him, the man, to manage the household. So, like you said, he wasn't that good with managing his finances. Well, he's going to have to learn if he's going to be with me. And that's kind of how everything has gone in our relationship from my perspective, because I realized that by submitting and surrendering, you know, my desires to an extent, and the way I think I should do things, and do things the way, you know, the Most High was guiding me, which is in scripture, you know, for people that don't know, if you read your Bible, that is. But, you know, always also intuitively just knowing that, well, I'm a woman, and I want to be taken care of. I want to be protected. I want to be provided for. So let me do what I can to, you know, assist this man to be able to prove himself to me.
That's really strong.
Yeah.
Really
and
strong.
obviously it wasn't perfect, you know. Even up until we've been in Ghana, it's been one huge learning curve. But I don't want to fast forward too much, but we're in a place now where I don't ever think about money. I just don't ever think about it. It doesn't even occur to me to think about money anymore.
Wow.
He is completely
I don't have a bank card no more. she has mine now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I have his bank card now.
Right.
Yeah, the role has completely reversed, and I think a lot of that has got to do with my mindset and what I wanted for myself.
I have so many questions right now. So I just want to ask you. So, going in and saying that you were broke into this lady's life and she's providing everything for you, did you not ever at any point feel like less of a man?
Yes, most definitely. But my confidence was bordering cocky. So, you know, I was very confident man. Like, I knew my potential.
Yeah.
She saw that because, imagine, I may have come in broke, but when I met her, she was just like trying to start her own business. And I came in and took over. I was like, you ain't done this, you ain't registered your company, you ain't got this, you ain't got a logo, you ain't got this.
So you came in with a different, maybe not financials, but you came in with a different skill set.
I brought something to the table. I still had value. Do you know what I mean? Like, I came with value, and value is not always in the form of currency or money.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I came with ideas, skills. I came with my own mind and my own ideas as well, and just showed her that, okay, you can buy me breakfast, you can give me your car, but look what I can give you. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, that there was a balance there.
Yeah.
There was a balance there, but it, you know, you touched on it, like the generational curses had her in her masculine and me in my feminine. I was raised by a woman, a strong woman at that, who's very much like the woman I chose for myself, a very strong woman.
I'm not surprised.
So, you know, without having that father figure, well, I didn't know how to be a man. I didn't know what it is to provide for a woman. Like, I didn't know what it was to, you know, to provide and protect. As far as I'm concerned, I was out for me. And then Jerelle was in her masculine, so she was always leading her own life and, you know, fully independent. The society tells you, you know, be an independent lady. Like, that's what you need to be.
Oh, yeah.
And don't get me wrong, there's a balance, but there's an order.
Yeah.
The Most High, man, woman, and child, there's an order. And it's not to say, oh, you know, in a chauvinistic way, a man is more than a woman. It's just an order that we all need to follow. And if we follow that order and that balance, that is what heals the organic family. Because that's what the problem is, especially in melanated families. That's the problem, the divide of that family network.
Yeah.
And then putting the woman at the top. The woman has, you know, the house. And the man doesn't live nowhere. So he's forced to live with his mother. He's forced to go from woman to woman.
Yeah.
These are the issues, like the core issues of generational curses that need to be broken.
Yeah.
Along with, you know, the masculine and feminine role switch. Where, you know, I come into the relationship emotional.
Yeah.
And she is emotional and logical. So when we're arguing, it's just pure emotions going back and forth. Do you know what I mean? Pure talk going back and forth. Where now I've learned to keep it myself, do you know what I mean? And hold my tongue and only speak in a wise way and understand that she's more emotional, I'm more logical. And sometimes it doesn't always, you know. So, and then, you know, being in my feminine, I still hold some of that. Because there has to be a balance. I need to understand my feminine ways and my traits to know how to deal with her.
Yeah.
If I completely let go of that, then I'm just going to be too masculine.
Yeah.
So there's a balance that you have to find. And she's had to find that balance. And don't get me wrong, we're still struggling with it today.
Yeah, I mean, come on. We don't all know everything. Yeah,
Just up to the other day, we had a talk about emotions, me not reacting off of my emotions, which then puts her in survival mode. As soon as she's in survival mode.
I like that, in survival mode. I love that.
Yeah, that's
right
really
back
good.
in her
She's right back in her masculine energy. And we spoke about off camera about people not being able to make it in Ghana. A lot of people can't make it in Ghana because they're in survival mode. They're in survival mode and there's no man there to, you know, to take over that role. So we're dealing with people that are coming over from the diaspora. We're helping them and, you know, putting them in Yehuda village or Ruby village. And a lot of single women are coming over, or a lot of couples are coming over, and we see the balance is off. The balance is off, and Ghana is going to correct that for them if they can last. It will correct being on African soil. This spirit here, there's something here that will draw it out of you. It will draw it out of you. It made me a man and it made her a woman because we don't have no safety nets. there's no
Say all the time.
there's no benefits. There's
Yeah.
I can't even fall back, Mom.
Yeah,
help me.
yeah.
Dad,
None of
help
that.
me. There's
You're
none
on
of
your
that.
own.
It's just us
Yeah.
on our own.
Make it work.
Right. And we made it work.
Yeah.
We made it work. So that is strength.
So let me ask you another question. Do you feel that you were at a disadvantage at any point because your father wasn't in the scene as you were growing up?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes, because I didn't have a balanced. But it also showed me what I shouldn't do. It showed me what not to be
Okay.
with my children.
Right.
So I will never give up on my children. Not one of them. I'll never give up on them. I will never, like me striving to be a better man is for them.
Yeah.
That's my motivation. That's like, taking that negative and turning it into a positive.
Yeah.
We can take the negative, and it's very easy for me to be just like my father.
Yeah.
It's very easy for me to be just like my granddad. My granddad and my father, they're pimps. That's what they're.
As soon as you said that, I just imagined the hat and everything.
No, they are pimps. My granddad, a real pimp. My dad, a modern day pimp. Like,
Wow.
that's what they are. And I have that in me. I spoke to her on the phone. I won her over with my voice. That's the same energy.
You knew what you were doing.
I know what I'm doing. It's the same energy, but I'm using it in a positive way. I am. I'm using it. We'll call it charm.
Yeah.
I'm using it in a positive way. Or I could just be like my dad and, have all the women that I want. And I could be, but, I chose not to. I chose to take there's always two sides of the coin in every situation.
Yeah.
Is good really good? Is evil really evil? Or do you know where is the line between that?
Yeah.
And it's just about choosing the right path. And I remember early on in our relationship, which was a pivotal moment for our relationship. After dating for maybe, I think 4 or 5 years, I'm never good with time. You'll correct me if I'm wrong. I remember Jerelle said, I can't do this anymore. And unless I need to go and I need to give myself to the Most High. And unless you're down with me, then I can't do this relationship. I remember it was in, what's that place called? Pret a Mango.
Oh, Pret-a-Manche.
Yeah, that Pret.
Yeah.
We were
Pret
there.
place.
We were there, and I remember I was like, whoa, well, let's go then. Off to church we go.
Really?
Yeah.
You accepted it just like that?
Well, the Most High has always been in my life. I've
Okay.
never been a fan of religion and church stuff and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, well, from where I was, I had to start somewhere. So off we went to the New Testament Church of Clapton. Do you know what I mean? Like, and we were there for a minute. And no matter what you think about Christianity or religion or whatever, that is where I reignited my...
It was a catalyst.
Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
catalyst where I reignited
Your
my relationship
relationship.
with the Most High and also my wife. Well, now my
It's
wife.
like we brought the Most High back into the relationship, where we were just just doing our own thing before, serving our own will. But that's when the order started to be restored consciously.
Interesting.
No one likes to be told these days. No one wants to be told what to do, how to do it. So, the 10 Commandments, no one wants to follow them no more.
Yeah.
But I said, what, I'm taking it right back. I'm taking it right back. Even if you don't believe in the Bible, even if you don't believe in whatever, the Torah, whatever the case may be, you cannot, that's in your heart, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal. That's in your heart. Like, and if you don't have that, where are you at in your life? So we just took it back to basics. And that, it strengthened it was a good foundation.
So I'm going to ask you something that's a little bit touchy here. So because you're talking about church and faith and all of that, now you guys were living together. I'm sure you were sleeping in the same bed.
Yes,
Most definitely.
we were.
So how did you justify saying that you're one thing and almost doing something different?
we were sinning. We were sinning. Like, but as soon as we went to church, we were abstinence.
You were?
Yeah.
You
That one.
abstained.
You abstained. You abstained.
That one, he said. Yeah.
So Daniel's forgotten some of the.
You're dying to talk. Go on.
I really am.
Go on.
Because you've forgotten some stuff.
Okay.
So when we had that sit down and talk, prior to that, I said to him that I don't want to have sex anymore. I need to heal. I carry a lot of trauma I carried a lot of trauma in my womb. Ancestrally speaking, choices that I've made, things that have happened to me, and a time just came for that to be dealt with. And I couldn't do that. I couldn't heal that while I'm still having intercourse with him, and like, no, I need to focus on my own healing and myself. And I was met with some resistance.
Obvious.
I'm sure.
Obviously.
I was met with some resistance because I did, like...
You spoiled me.
I did, and I shouldn't have.
Right.
Like, that's not something.
So do you think you were playing too much of the wife duties too soon?
Before I was even a wife. You know? Yeah. So that's saying the order was all wrong. We were doing everything in the wrong order. Although the good intentions were there. But and subsequently we brought the Most High back into our lives. We abstained from sex, and things just started to get better very gradually, but they started to improve. And obviously, I don't know if I've answered your question.
Well, kind of. So I asked if you had were you living the life that you were presenting to people? So did you do that throughout?
Yeah. So in all truthfulness, there was a few times where we slipped. But
I fell in.
You naughty. I'm like, I need to have this guy on a different show, right?
By himself, a different version of him. But for the most part, we really did abstain for years. And
wow.
Yeah, years.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
It was good. It strengthened me spiritually.
And that's probably why the gap between this baby and the last baby is the 5 years. Because his record, obviously...
I can breathe.
Sorry, did I just breathe on you? You're not pregnant.
Literally, that's what he's like.
Wow.
This is a in wedlock baby.
Our first.
The first.
Beautiful. That's lovely.
First,
so were you ever married before?
No.
Okay.
No.
First marriage.
Yeah.
Bachelor and spinster. That's what they call it, right?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. It's called spinster.
No, you're a spinster. If you've never been married before and you get married, you're a spinster before you get married, and he's a bachelor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, great name.
I know, right? Sounds so old. Yeah. So let's talk about age gaps, okay?
Yeah.
Because obviously he's older, right? What was that like? Because for me, I'm always like, I don't think I could date anyone that much younger than me. But you were all for dating someone older. Would you, in the same vein, have dated someone 10 years younger than you?
No way. No way. There's no way. Just because men 10 younger than 25 would have been 15. First of all.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Valid. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but like I was saying about the maturity in men and women, and we know how that goes.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things.
Women mature.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's why. That's one of the reasons. But I always wonder why he went for a younger woman,
I was
and then
coming to that.
Yeah, and then we had this discussion the other day, and I was like, where you went wrong is expecting me to be where you are when you've been in a 14-year relationship.
Right.
And I literally
That's
had barely 1 year under my belt. So I'm like, we were never going to know, or I didn't know what it was to really be in a relationship.
Yeah.
But you came with all these expectations that I should know. I'm like, this is not your first rodeo, You should be well-versed in all matters regarding relationships. So I was like, yeah, I expected your maturity level to be higher than it was. Yes.
May I speak? So, when I got into this relationship, I was blindsided. by the beauty, by all of the other stuff, and I never saw her age. I didn't realize. I realized her age last week. Last week.
It's like, you're young.
I was like,
Really?
Because what had happened is, imagine we come into this relationship and I was here, she was here.
Yeah.
And she done this to me. And then I'm looking back now saying, come on. And she's like, bear with me. Remember, I'm 10 years younger than you. I'm just like, why you acting so immature? Because I'm more immature than you. And I only realized, like she tells me, she's been telling me for years, but I only grasped it like last week.
I
like,
get that.
wow, you are still a baby. Like, I remember when you was this age, this is when we got together, right?
I was
Just about.
You were my age now.
Yeah. So I was just finding myself at this age.
Yeah.
So I have to have the compassion for her.
Right, and you can see where she's also at now, right?
Right. Because, I mean, she may disagree, but I feel like I'm the more mature one in the relationship.
No, I think I'd agree with that. He is now.
I think I'm more the mature one, but I came in the more immature one. And I think now I more act my age.
Yeah.
Even though I don't look it, but I act my age. And, you know, so I'm trying to now bring up my wife. I can only bring her up so much because of her pace, her experience, her life experience. Even though she's well experienced in life, you know, there's still the age gap. So it's difficult. I wouldn't change it. I think I'd always go for a younger woman.
Yeah.
I think
But you ain't looking anymore, though.
No, I ain't. No, I ain't. But if I had to do it again, it would always be a younger
Really?
woman.
Why not an older woman? Would you?
Would I?
Yeah.
Well, I have before Jerelle. I had been with older women, but they were just way too much for me. They were just way too much.
In what way?
I don't know. Maybe their expectations of you know, like Jerelle didn't like. She was compassionate with me, like the money situation, my level of where I was at. I'm a big woman now, and I'm just coming in with my immature self.
Right.
Like, I remember going on a date with a big woman. And I said, oh yeah, you can order what you want. Do you know what I mean? Off the menu. I've got my benefits in my pocket. Imagine that. This woman's ordering bottles of champagne. I'm just like, hey, what's wrong with this woman? Because I feel like she knew what she was doing and she was just trying to like push me in it.
Yeah.
So after the second bottle, I was like, I'm done. Like,
Did you?
I was like, I'm done. You ain't.
You said that?
Yes, I'm done. Let's go. I'm done. Like, you ain't draining out my pocket. Like, I'm a real person, innit? I don't put shame in my game. I was like, woman, you take, how many bottles of champagne do you want to drink? And I don't drink no champagne.
Oh, so she's drinking it herself.
She's drinking it herself. She's being bougie. So I'm just like, no, son, not my money. And already, that's not the kind of woman I want to be with.
Right.
I don't want to be with someone that's money orientated. Like, I want to be with someone that's about other things.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So, you know, she wasn't like that. And I could work with her.
I wanted to grow with you.
Yeah. We could grow together because of we were kind of at the same level.
So would you say there's issue if you're going to date an older woman in terms of the expectation from that older woman?
Yeah, there's an issue. Yeah, she expects more because she's more experienced.
She probably has higher standards because she knows herself, she knows her worth, her value, and she has every right to have a higher expectation.
I feel
for what
works.
she actually wants. It's like, well, just don't be with her then.
That's
there's other
interesting.
women.
You said she knows her value. So do you think that then there's space for someone who's older to necessarily take advantage of someone who's younger?
Absolutely.
Because they don't know.
And it's not necessarily dependent on age, but it's definitely dependent on whether or not that person even knows themselves. Do they love themselves? Have they healed? I mean, you do attract what you are as well.
Right.
So you're equal and opposite because we have to learn the lessons, right, in order to receive. But yeah.
Let me give you some truth as a man. Yeah. And I teach my daughters this. And the men might not like it, but it's true.
Yeah.
A man, certain men, me, or should I say certain boys, because that's what I was at the time, they look for vulnerability. They look for vulnerability. If a father's not in the picture, brothers are not in the picture, like, it's not like that was appealing to me. Because now, well, I'm in control. Do Do you know what I mean? And it might sound sinister, but that's the truth. And this
this
is what I tell my daughters.
Yeah, it's a narcissistic personality.
Yeah.
This is real. This is so real. What you're
true.
Thank you. This is so real. Please.
So I teach my daughters this, and my oldest daughter is the perfect example of this. I told her, when you meet a man, make sure you bring him to me first.
Right.
You won't have no problems. She didn't do that. She had problems.
Yeah.
The second guy, she realized, let me bring him to my father. No problems. We got on like a house on fire. They're in a great relationship. They're coming. Do you know what I mean? So men need to be real about, how they feel towards women. And in a nutshell, we look for vulnerability.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I'm never afraid, don't get me wrong, I'm never afraid to approach somebody's father or mother. Like, I can do that. Not all men want to do that, but I can do that. I can be like, hey, sir, how you doing? Because I'm quite confident and can stand in my own. But that vulnerability, we look for.
I think it's because they feel inferior. And that's what it really is. It's a fear. They're in fear of a woman being superior than them, which obviously is a dent in their masculinity, which is probably already in existence, and they're probably more feminine than masculine anyway.
Yeah.
And because of that, it makes them very predatory, because they're seeking out someone who's in a less powerful position than them with intention. And sometimes
so they can manipulate.
Exactly. Sometimes it's subconscious, and it's just like, trauma or habit, generational, kind of curses. But I feel like a lot of the time it's done with intention, and it's consciously done as well.
Wow. So do you think it would be easy for a woman to spot that this is what a guy is doing? Or does she need someone outside of her to be able to say, look, this person is doing this? Or can the woman recognize if a guy is narcissistic in that way?
As much as the man is acting that way because of generational trauma, well, the female is traumatized also, so she is unable to spot that in many cases. She's unable to spot that. She needs covering. And it's where we get back to faith.
The order.
She needs covering.
That's
what happens when you get married is your father gives you away. He gives over that covering to your husband. But when there's no father in the relationship, then who's been covering you all these years?
Which is why I said to him that I needed to return and build the relationship with my father.
To be covered.
The Most High, because I didn't have a relationship with my biological father. So because there's no man in my life, I needed the Most High's protection over me. And then that's when I was like, okay, we're not having sex anymore. Do you see? See how everything is connected.
That's very, very powerful what you've said, honestly. I'm sure that has probably enlightened a lot of people as well, because hearing you as a man say these things, because, you hear like women will say, oh, this person was narcissistic, or this person is a manipulator, or whatever. But to hear you say it directly from your own mouth, that is what you kind of would like to look for, just makes it real. Do you know what I mean? That this is a real issue.
But if we forget the topic for a minute of, what I just said, but just the concept of speaking truth. Now I was talking about generations. Generations before us, what did they do? They didn't talk the truth. They swept it under the carpet. If there was a paedophile in the family, shh.
Don't talk about it.
If someone's being abused, shh. They don't talk about it. And then what happens is it comes down to our generation. We want to break the curses. Now we got to lift back the rug, and it's full of things. It's full of things. Do you know what I mean?
And we're doing things without even knowing why we're doing them. We're like, why am I like this?
I have elderly people on YouTube all the time saying you shouldn't put that out there. You shouldn't talk about Tian. Even you shouldn't talk about this. And we're just like, why? Just because you didn't want to. It's the truth.
I'm a very strong believer in experience is not meant just for you. It's meant to be shared to help somebody else, to enlighten somebody else. So even doing this show, this podcast, for me, even though I get a lot of backlash from it, I don't care, because I'm like, I need to free other people. Let's talk about these uncomfortable things. And that's what we're doing right now. We have to talk so that somebody else doesn't have to start from scratch and go through it all again.
Why suffer
so much pain?
Same time?
It's completely unnecessary, Oh my gosh, you guys have been absolutely great to speak to. I'm so conscious of the fact that we've been speaking for like an hour right now.
I believe that.
This is a subject that can be talked about forever.
I'm telling you, like,
because there's so much layers.
There's so much. Like, I haven't even touched on the subject of submission yet. Like, I even wanted to talk about. I haven't even been able to get there because of the time. Eli, how long do we have? Yeah, oh my God. Okay. Yeah. So I think at a later date, maybe after you've had the baby, I'm gonna bring you back and let's talk again, because I feel like I love to bring people onto the show that are going to be honest, like open and honest, because if you're not going to come on the show and be honest and open about something, there's no point in being here, because we can all talk fluff all day long. That's not what we're here for. We want to get to the root of certain things to help, is to educate and all of that. So I think you guys are fantastic for that. So I just want to say thank you so much.
I feel the same way about you.
You're like the queen of Ghana now.
Yes. That is your new title. Change it. The queen of Ghana. Yes.
I love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate you so much. So where can people find you if they want to know a bit more about you guys?
Lifewiththekings.com. Life, L-Y-F-E, with the Kings with 2 Y's.
Yeah.
Or, catch us in Ghana somewhere. We're around, innit?
Yeah.
We're around town, innit?
They're around, innit? I love it. Thank you guys so much.
You're welcome.
Guys, that is the end of today's episode. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed this episode so much. It's been so enlightening. In fact, I'm going to have probably a quick off-camera conversation with these guys, because they said some really deep stuff that I want to touch some more on. But if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, please do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Don't forget to also like, comment, and share this video. Until next time, we are out. Nutitfafa. Yeah.